So we are going to look at some of the new stuff from Once Human, sorry, Studio, whatever you want to call them, and see what the CBT3 stuff is going to be about. We're going to look at some of the new Deviant stuff, look over some of the stuff that they've talked about. We're going to open the package, of course. I have some other clips and snippets that probably didn't see that I'll have to stitch in later for an actual video, not just a live video. What's in the box? Right. We're just gonna go with this and wing it. So, anyway, we're gonna turn this down. So let's start with something. What are we gonna look at first? They sent over a couple of videos and snippets of some of them that I don't think were in a lot of these clips. So, a lot of them are just like, you know, like little recording things that you'd want to snip together, which I'll do later in a video, but stuff like this. But we'll look at that after. Look at that after. Anyway, the date for the test is not the 28th. The date for the test is the 3rd of April, I think it is. 3rd or 4th, something like that. Now, the space whale, and if you guys have seen the previous tests, you would have seen the space whale be just a whale, really. They've redesigned it again and added on to it. You can kind of see where they added on like the jet pieces, like the jet engine, like the plane fuselages, and just the whole 9 yards on top of the whale, which I think looks a lot better. But originally it was just the whale that you would start the game with fighting, which was really disorienting and weird. So it'll be very interesting. Yeah, I think it's the 4th, which makes sense. Now, this was video. Mind you, they released that official multiplayer trailer 2 weeks ago from the IGN Fan Fest, right? Now, this trailer right here, they released 4 days ago. The IGN video, 8.2K views, right? The new Deviants one, almost 500,000 views already. $500,000 views just that little tiny one. Just that little tiny clip. Right? Now, the clips that I have are actually 1080p. I think these are like 4K clips that they have here, but I have a little bit more on some of these clips than were shown here, so we'll look at those in a bit. Let's see. So we have, we got the Nutcracker guy. We got the little teddy bear guy. We got the rabbit, sheep, alpaca? I don't know what that is. We have some bees. We have some good old beavers doing the work. We've got some I don't know what those are. Blockheads? Got that little jelly guy. Now, I don't even know what this is. This looks like a spirit animal of some sort. But the little jelly guy looks like you can actually double him up as a cover system. They are a figment of our imagination, just like future. I don't know about that. I'm pretty sure they exist. April 3rd. Haha, see? I was right. So, very, very interesting what they're trying to do with the Deviant system. Well, not even trying. They redid the entire deviation system. So, this test is going to be really interesting because it looks like they've taken the Deviant system, which was kind of like before this last test, it was way, way different. This last test, way, way different. And now the new test will be almost like Pal World mixed with Once Human, right? Meshed together. So it's going to be really interesting.
But they aren't facing zombies or fungal creatures. No, they're facing creatures from another dimension called the Great Ones. What makes Once Human different from other open world multiplayer survival games?
So first of all, thank you very much for having me here. And I think I can answer your question from two perspectives. So first one being the worldview and gameplay features. So because we are a huge fan of SCP and the work of Mr. Lovecraft, our game design concept is deeply inspired by those. Apart from the usual survival game mechanics that we have designed, we have also designed a very unique features called containment, so that players can capture and contain the deviations, also known as the combat companions. So you can use their supernatural power to explore the world more effectively. And second being our dev team itself. So the greatest mission, apart from developing the game itself, is to listen to our players' feedbacks and voice. We value this very, very much. So you can consider this game as a continuously evolving game, but based on players' feedback.
Speaking about the development team.
Now, I can definitely say that during the early days of Once Human, earlier days of Once Human, they were very, I mean, they still are, obviously, but they were very, very much like on top of feedback with players. And I mean, now it's kind of hard to do because there's, literally hundreds of thousands of people trying to get in and play and everything else. But back then it was, there's only been very few studios that I've seen that interact as much with their testers and such, and Starry Studio was definitely one of the ones that, is up on the top, where, they don't just give you a feedback form and say, here, post your idea, whatever, we'll get to it. We see, we listen, we hear you, that type of thing that you always hear from every other game. But, interviewing and spending time with them and interaction, explaining. I mean, I've talked about all this when I was doing the streams for Once Human and such. A simple example was the crossbow. With originally, it wasn't even like an intended main weapon, really. That expanded on because the testers at the time were continually using the crossbow, and the team there was like, hey, why are you guys using the crossbow so much? And, everybody explained that everybody liked crossbows, everybody wanted, more quieter weapons just as much as bigger weapons, and so on from there. And then that expanded into incorporating things like the actual crossbows in the game and the upgraded crossbows and, you know, so on and so forth. So they're constantly listening and adapting different things. Obviously, like I said, it's harder to do now because there's so many voices at once. But I can at least attest from the earlier perspective point where they were very, 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 very interactive with the teams.
What was your team's vision behind the game?
Well, that's always simple and straightforward, which is to make Once Human a worldwide game so we can serve more players around the world. But we understand like survival game, this genre is super competitive and there are a lot of outstanding titles over there. So we want to add some cherries on top of
Those were rather interesting in the last
this
test.
genre is super competitive and there are a lot of outstanding titles over there. So we want to add some cherries on top of the cake, meaning that we want to attract our players with intriguing narratives and innovative gameplay features. Also, we want to craft the Once Human world to become a very open world. So no matter what kind of player you are, you can choose the way you want to live in this open world.
Now, let's chat about Once Human's gameplay modes. Each server can hold over 4,000 players, letting players create tribes, pillage other players, and fight against the Great Ones to loot gear and treasure. During your most recent beta, which modes did players tend to play more? And out of all the Great Ones, which one is your favorite as far as design and gameplay experience?
So actually, there are two modes that players tend to play more. So the first one is the immersive explorations inside the Once Human world. Players really enjoy exploring the world, fighting with the unknown creatures, and to solve the puzzles. And second mode is the building mechanics. So we found out that there's a lot of talented architectures inside the game. So they can use our building tools to build magnificent buildings. For example, you can find castles or even palace in the sky. And to answer your second question, actually, my favorite is not the Great Ones. It's the monster look like a bus with feet. I really like it. Like most of the players, the reason is very simple is because that was very fascinating design and it looks so damn cool.
Now, were you surprised at any of the behavior that the players showcased during the beta?
Yes, of course. So at the very first beginning, right? So we were expecting a relatively compact size of the testing participants. We were expecting like maybe 20,000 maximum. But you know, the enthusiasm from the players really exceeded our expectations. And I really want to, you know, to use this opportunity. And I really found the players really exceeded our expectations.
A very shiny, form-fitting suit with high heels there. Anyway, sorry, what were we talking about?
And I really want to, you know, to use this opportunity to say thank you to all of your support.
Now, Once Human has already had 2 closed betas, but there is a 3rd closed beta coming in March. You also have this concept called We Hear You, where you put the players first, listening and prioritizing their needs for the game. What have you heard from the fan base, and what are you planning to add or optimize in the next closed beta?
So actually, we heard a lot of voice saying that we need more like testing servers. So yes, we're gonna add the European testing servers in the closed beta test for the upcoming one. And then we're gonna expand the test participants from 20,000 to 150,000. So that's the first thing.
Now, getting on that topic, right? Once Human, Starry Studio was not a very big studio starting out. I'm sure they've expanded substantially since the last test because of how many people's interests, etc. And I'm sure some of their backers were probably like, you know what, we need more people working on this. But they are based out of China and such, and I know they're they've been working on getting over here more and so forth. But there has been some things lost in translation at times. There has been some things that don't translate over as well when they explain things. So, with the explanation of this test being brought up to 150,000, I know they've also mentioned that if you were in the past tests, you would be in this one and so forth. I would take that to the bank, so to say. You need to make sure that you or your friends immediately As soon as you are able to get the client downloaded and so forth, you can download the client now, I believe. But download the client, get it ready. Don't just do what so many people did on the last test. Make a goddamn character. Get a character made. Get in the game, right? Even if you're only in the game for like 2 minutes, it doesn't matter. Make a character and get in the game. That way, your account is secured with access for the entire testing phase. Because a lot of people last time would just download the game and they thought they got in. They didn't get in. And I'm pretty sure that quite possibly this test that's being expanded on to 150,000 and the mention of including everybody from the past tests, etc., won't just include everybody from the past tests. You need to make sure that you get in and make the character. It's really important if you want to play in the test, of course. If you don't, then whatever. But it's not going to just involve everybody. So they're trying, from the sounds of it, from the little bits that I've heard, but I think there's going to be some stuff that's kind of lost in translation between how they've explained it and when it happens, and I think some people might get emo about it because, like, looking at the last test, that was only supposed to be 20,000 people. They expanded that to ridiculous amounts. So we'll see how they do. They're also including the EU servers and such too. So, and I mean, last test they scaled up the servers from the 20K to exponential amounts really fast and incorporated a queue system that functioned really well, actually. Like within like an hour of the servers going up. So I would expect them to do the same type of thing here.
And secondly is that we receive hundreds and thousands suggestions, feedbacks every day, and we take it very seriously because, you know, we prioritize our players' needs. So one example that I can give to you is that there's one feature called the message flowers. Basically, everyone hated. So we noticed that and we make some changes. So right now we add the filtering mechanism so players they can filter the message flowers, and also we add a blocking system so players, you know, they can just block the entire message flowers.
I know that our time is almost up, but real quick, would you mind teasing us with some of the future developments you have planned?
Yes, one thing is very exciting to share is that I know a lot of players they're waiting for the mobile version. So in the upcoming closed beta test, we're gonna have a mobile version finally, and so players they can play Once Human at any time, anywhere they want.
The mobile version has been talked about many, many, many times over the development of Once Human, and I can't even remember a time where like it was actually tested. Realistically, I think they might have had one like a long time ago. But this will be the biggest inclusion of the mobile version of it. So they're not going to have nearly as many people in that test. You do have to you fill out a survey thing about the mobile version if you want to try to get into the mobile version. So it'll be really interesting to see how this game translates over to mobile. But yeah.
And second thing is that we keep brainstorming some very innovative and interesting game features to the game to become like more immersive for our players. So one example I can give to you, but it's not a guarantee.
It's not a guarantee. Remember that.
Is that we are now creating some EDM music festival inside the game, and that will be hosted on the snowy mountain. So players they can listening to the music festival while skiing. That's some direction that we are looking forward to because we want to provide different and various gameplay features to the players.
Well, that is very exciting. Thank you so much, Derek. It was a pleasure having you on. Now, if you want to jump into the closed beta this March for Once Human,
this April,
the free-to-play open world survival game, then make sure to follow them at discord.gg/oncehuman for all their biggest updates, or you can follow them on X and Facebook. But before we go, here is a special trailer for Once Human. Enjoy.
Now, this is the one we already saw, so we don't need to rewatch that right now. They're expanding it, EU servers. They rebuilt the entire deviation system, which is really interesting because it took them 8 months from the previous, not the last test, but the previous test before that. It took them 8 months, and they rebuilt practically the entire game. Now they've, in like a couple months, rebuilt the entire Deviant system. So, it's going to be really interesting to see how that impacts the game because I mean, before it was just, you know, players and survival aspect, whereas now it's the Deviant system that's kind of incorporating like a Pal World type system from the looks of it into the survival game aspect that we already had. So I don't know what's going to happen with PvP though, because PvP was it was rough, but we'll see how that goes. And that is the end of the Once Human video. Make sure you guys go over and go to the website, sign up for the test there if you want to check it out there. Make sure you go to Steam and wishlist the game, that'll help them out there. Fill out their survey for the mobile version if you want to do that. Of course, join the Discord if you are curious about the game. There are always people talking in there about it. And if you want to see more Once Human content, make sure you see my videos that I have uploaded or any of the live streams that I'll be doing once the test goes live. And without anything else to really say, thank you guys for your time and checking out the video. If you guys can leave a like, comment, subscribe, whatever you want to do to the video, it'd be great. I've been trying to move a lot of my live content over to videos instead now, so any little bit can help. I will see you guys in the next video.